Hey, folks, David Brody here for All Israel News here in the nation's capital. Let's talk about President Trump finally, and I use that word with emphasis, finally, speaking up forcefully about Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, Megyn Kelly, Alex Jones, all in one fell swoop. Yes, he said some stuff about Tucker before on the surface or on the margins, if you will. He really hasn't said much about Candace Owens or Alex Jones, and he said a little bit about Megyn Kelly. But look, this Truth Social post this week is seminal. It's epic, if you will. Operation Epic Fury in a different way. Let me go through this. I feel like it's story time here. I won't do the accent that President Trump has, but maybe I will, actually, now that I think about it. But I want to read through some of this and go over it line by line, or I say line by line, at least a few points to take in. He says this: I know why Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, and Alex Jones have all been fighting me for years, especially by the fact that they think it's wonderful for Iran, the number one state sponsor of terror, to have a nuclear weapon. Because they have one thing in common: low IQs. They're stupid people. They know it. Their families know it. And everyone else knows it too. By the way, I like how President Trump says their families know it. Like he knows their families intimately, like they know. He actually knows what their families think, which is kind of comical, not true. And they're not stupid people, by the way. Let's just be clear. But of course, if they don't agree with Trump, wait for it, they're stupid people. All right, let's move on, shall we? Look at their past. Look at their record. They don't have what it takes, and they never did. They've all been thrown off television. Kind of true. Lost their shows. True. And aren't even invited on TV because nobody cares about them. They're nut jobs, troublemakers, and will say anything necessary for some free and cheap publicity. Now they think they get some clicks because they have third-rate podcasts, but nobody's talking about them, and their views are the opposite of MAGA. Now, let's unpack that a little bit. They are doing this for clicks. He is absolutely right. Let's be clear. That's important. I will say, however, that beyond clicks, I think that they are actually being authentic too. In other words, when you get off of Fox News, when you get off of kind of mainstream television and you go into podcast world, you let your guard down a little bit. And it's not even your guard down. You kind of show some more leg, as they like to say. In other words, you kind of let it rip. You become even more authentic. So I think they're actually being very authentic. I think this is who Tucker, in a way, has always been. Now, he's morphed. There's no doubt about it. But I think what you're seeing from Tucker is really Tucker. What you're seeing from Megyn is truly coming from Megyn. And I think Megyn's got a beef specifically because she had a lot of folks that she thought were her Jewish friends coming to her and upset about the fact that she was not criticizing Candace Owens. Well, you know what? They should have been upset by the fact that she wasn't criticizing Candace Owens. So she needs to just chill out for a second. And oh, by the way, if Jewish folks that were her friends or are her friends were coming at her and were a bit sensitive, she said they were so sensitive and all uptight about this. Yeah, maybe, I don't know, Jews have a reason to be a little uptight about this and a little sensitive about this. I don't know. There's something called the Holocaust. I'm sorry. There's something called, I don't know, world history, where the Jews have been persecuted since day one that God created this earth. So the fact that they're just a little sensitive on these situations and they want people speaking up when people like nut jobs like Candace Owens speak, I think that makes a whole lot of sense. So I think Megyn needs to give them more than grace. She needs to understand where they're coming from, as in hashtag too soon when it comes to the Holocaust. So he goes on and he says this, and this is kind of the key point I wanted to get at. He says he won the presidential election in a landslide. MAGA agrees with me, not hand-flailing fools like Tucker Carlson, who couldn't even finish college. He was a broken man when he got fired from Fox. He's never been the same. Perhaps he should see a good psychiatrist. Not a bad idea. Or Megyn Kelly, who nastily asked me the now famous only Rosie O'Donnell question, or crazy Candace Owens, who accused the highly respected First Lady of France of being a man when she is not. Anyhow, he goes on to call Alex Jones bankrupt and yada, 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 as Seinfeld would say. Look, he makes a lot of great points. And I get back to the word finally, which is where I began, which is finally President Trump has laid down the gauntlet, as I like to call it, Operation Epic Fury in the form of a Truth Social post. And the reason I say finally is because, let's be honest, he really hasn't talked too much about Tucker. It's been there, it's been out there, but he just hasn't gone there. At least he hasn't gone there boldly like he has finally in this Truth Social post. And I like the fact that he lumped in Tucker and Candace and Megyn and Alex Jones all into one. And by the way, this just in, I'm a little riled up, can you tell? This just in, they're not MAGA. They're not MAGA. They're not America first, okay? They always call themselves America first. They're not America first. They're America only. There's a big difference. You know, this idea that MAGA and America first mean the same thing, not true. MAGA is America first, but America only is not America first. America only is America only, literally America only, which is extremely naive. So that's a little bit of the lay of the land. And look, there's a lot more to unpack. We'll do this in future analysis segments where we talk about J.D. Vance, because President Trump has spoken up about Tucker. But eventually, what's J.D. Vance going to say about his good friend Tucker? What about Candace? What about Alex Jones? What about who else did I miss in there? Megyn Kelly, all of them. At some point, he's going to have to speak about this if he's going to run for president, which we all expect him to do so. All right, that's it from now. From Washington, David Brody here for All Israel News.